This is it, everybody. Final week of the RDL regular season. Final week for some teams to make magic happen. Final week for some coaches to make a dream come true. There's still so much to play for. The only match this week without some kind of playoff implications is the Riverside Otters versus the Blazing Brelooms. However, newcomer Brett will be looking to send a message ready for next season with a convincing victory. Starstreak will be looking to finish the season on a high to build confidence into the next. Losing Urshifu turn 1 after Burning Terror left me really worried for Starstreak, even more so with Thunder going down to a Helping Hands boosted Ice Spinner. But kept a cool head, got Key Spore on Several Edge and bullet seeded to victory. Game 2 was a crazy game. I'm confused how the Electrode avoided a 100% accurate Terror Blast. It could be holding a Bright Powder, I guess, which would be a really unusual choice of item, but this was a really unusual team from Brett. Endure, Petya Berry Greninja, absolutely something new to me. If that thing didn't do some damage after the berry activated. Despite a Sanseer Storm hiccup in the mid-game, Landorus and Treads were able to clean up and take Game 2 for the Otters. What can I say about Game 3? I was honestly screaming at the replay through most of it. Starstreak once again traded his Urshifu for a key piece on Brett's side. Thought momentum had swung back to Brett when Landorus survived that bullet seed, but a rain-boosted Terra Water Terra Blast sealed the victory for the Blazing Brelooms. Now, on to the matches with playoff implications. Let's start with the fight for the number 1 seed. We have the LA Latias facing the Sandaconda squad and the Orlando Oshawotts versus Denver Darkrai. With a win, Latias secure the number 1 seed and the Sandaconda squad probably still secure in the playoffs. They would need a really crazy swing of games and kill the death differential to drop out. Then we have Orlando Oshawotts against the surging Denver Darkrai's. The Oshawotts need a slip up from the Latias, but Darkrai would love to try and get further up the table for a better matchup in the playoffs. Let's start with the Oshawotts versus the Darkrai's. Troubling pockets. Have to be careful they don't burn your mouth. Flash Fire Flareon, definitely a good way of presenting that though. Such a good game of read and counter read. Bring out bubbles, set terrain, prevent fake out, Ice Spin and Weavile to remove said terrain, swap in Landorus to block potential earth power. Punch, counter punch. Finally, we got the appearance of the Lucky Bird, instantly making an impact, dodging the Torkoal Flamethrower. Flareon finally goes down to an expanding force, which Articuno also dodges, followed by an Armor Cannon, then winning Game 1 with a raw Terra Blast. Game 2, Otter gets his Trick Room, but loses terrain in the process. A great pin by Tommy, with Flareon being immune to Armor's fire attacks and Weavile being immune to the Psychic, leaving Otter needing Terra Grat Energy Ball to protect the terrain from Ice Spinners. Great positional play from Otter though, takes this fascinating match to a Game 3. Game 3, we see bubbling Hot Pockets, facing down a Dolphin and a little Fake Out Demon. Tommy chooses to leave the Baby Fin on the field and switch Weavile for Flareon, who eats a massive Earth Power like an absolute champ. We see Lucky Bird making an early appearance without the snow. Could this be Otto's opportunity to get rid of it? Unfortunately, a sun-boosted Flare Blitz removes Indeedee, but Snuggles eats that Terra Ground Terra Blast really well. Great switching of Weavile, being immune to the psychic attacks, and then taking out Armarouge to force in Torkoal so that Tommy could get up the snow without the turtle overriding it. However, Palafin just sealed the match with 2 massive wave crashes, meaning Articuno wasn't even needed. Game 1 might have been the perfect example of how annoying Articuno is to face, but Game 3 was proof that even without the bird, Tommy is still a huge threat in the playoffs. Game 2 though should remind people that despite the 2 losses, the Oshawots are still going to be the team to beat on side 2 of the bracket. Game 1, and it's easy to see why Feathers is top of the league. That Iron Hands is an absolute bully, cycling the Intimidate by rotating Quillfish and Pinchurchin, kept Slacking from ever getting going. After Hands finally went down to a Slacking play rough, Jugglers was able to come in and clean up. Game 2, back to the Sandaconda Slacking we expect. This time, having its ability suppressed by Gastro Acid Electros. Brilliant. However, once again its impact is completely neutralized by Intimidate cycling, leaving it with 0.33 times attack. This game though was all about Slacking's partners. A great Articuno switching got a competitive boost, allowing it to take out Iron Hands with a very risky Hurricane, and Electros was able to come in, throw out T-Bolts while Slacking loafed around, winning the game for space. On to Game 3, and back to Sword Stance, Clear Amulet, Iron Hands being a ridiculous bulky bully. It came in turn 3, got burned, but still absolutely decimated Space's squad after nullifying that burn stat drop with the Sword Stance. With these results, the Latias confirmed as our number 1 seeds. The Oshawots can actually now be overtaken as number 2 seeds, with both Sky Strikers and Golden Gate Goldengos in with a shout. Tommy and the Darkrai's once again upset the status quo, and with some results going their way, could quite easily get the number 4 seed. Space and the Sandaconda squad probably secured their playoff spot by taking a game off Feathers and the Latias. Now, let's take a look at the battle for those final playoff spots. The 2 teams looking to crash the party were the New York Latios, who needed a 2-0 win versus the Dragalges and a 2-0 loss by the Drop Bears to qualify. The other team looking to leapfrog were the surging Gothenburg Gothitels, who had a really tough ask in my pre-season favourites, the Golden Gate Goldengo, who, with a convincing win, could leap up into the 2nd seed if the Sky Strikers slip up. The Gothitels have a pretty okay differential, so it is a crazy long list of ways they can make the playoffs with a win. These are going to be some exciting battles. Crazy game 1. Alberto's really annoying Sableye makes his return, alongside the Terra Ground Gyarados. Burn on Tauros plus taunting Belleboat removed the threat of TCL's leads, letting Gyarados go to work fairly safely. Fortunately for Alberto, TCL's cleanup crew was Flutter and Tinglu. Let's face it, they're ridiculously strong. Game 2, how long did that Dunsparce substitute last? That is insane. I have to say, Alberto had some really bad luck in this game. Gyarados got paralysed and confused. 2 full paras and a hitting confusion later. The Dunsparce was able to get up 2 coils, absolutely decimate Alberto's team. Got to feel for Alberto. That steam engine weakness policy, Tucker, really took me by surprise. I didn't know that Sneasel got Surf, but this was once again all about that Azuma Swami. This Mon is just so versatile and strong. The different sets that Shim's been able to run on it this season have been amazing. It often gets overlooked thanks to the incredible power elsewhere in the Goldengo squad. But man, game 2. Okay, what the heck is this Clef keep going for? Calm mind, in defense. I'm waiting for the stored power now. Draining Kiss. A third Calm Mind. Another Draining Kiss. Wow, that's so much damage. Okay, there's the stored power. What a crazy, crazy game. GG's to both Shim and Fluffo for that one. With that win, the Goldengo leapt into the second seed. Perhaps only temporarily, but they did what they needed to do. Pass the pressure over to Sky Strikers. The Latios also got the victory that they needed to put pressure on the Drop Bears to get the win they need to stay in the playoffs. Now, on to the final 2 matches. Palmot Party are now safe thanks to the Gothitels loss. They have a pretty big differential advantage over the Latios. The Sky Strikers, however, can still gatecrash the top seeds with a win. The Drop Bears simply need a win over the out of sorts Woobats to get in. I thought this was going to be a battle of nicknames as well as Pokemon, but guys, you failed me. You failed me. Heartbroken. Game 1. This was all about one Pokemon. Like, this thing was scary. 3 bulk ups. Solar Stance Yogi could have been a massive, massive problem, but that early burn from Volt's Flame Body just nullified it. I was really surprised with Toxtricity's damage with that overdrive. For me, it was the threat of that big angry ape that stood out. Game 2. This was insane. Stored power Espathra is nuts. Nothing else to say really on game 3. The key play here was encoring the Decidueye to protect, preventing it from doing anything. I'm not entirely sure why it didn't get switched out, but it worked. Toxtricity, absolute MVP of this entire set. Serena got kills in this match, but Tox put in so much work sealing the match for Skies. I really expected Explosion out of turn 1, so Trick Room was just genius. Absolute genius. That Calm Mind Typhlosion was just kind of free with the Fairy Terror. There was no real answer to it. And it completely ran riot, letting Titan come in and then take out a weakened Baxcalibur and Gardevoir to seal game 1. Game 2 was a lot closer, but this time Titan really was a war, with the Woobats just having no way to get it off the field. And there you have it. the final standings of the regular season. The Latias have just been so consistent and difficult to play against all season and thoroughly deserve the number 1 seeding. My picks for the whole thing at the beginning, Goldango surged in late to snatch that number 2 seed from the Oshawots. Below them, despite rocky starts to the season and, in the case of Paul Mott Party, managerial changes, the Darkrai and Paul Mott Party surged into the playoffs. Interestingly, Denver now have victories over 2 of the top 3 teams and will definitely be one to watch. So, here are our brackets. On side 1, we have LA Latias versus Santa Connor Squad. Denver Darkrai's versus Sky Strikers. Side 2, we have Golden Gate Goldango versus Down Under Drop Bears. Orlando Washawots versus the Paul Mott Party. And in last week's show, I mentioned there would be a little surprise. We have a grudge bracket. The teams that didn't make the playoffs will be battling it out in their own little mini tournament for a chance to take on the league champions. 2 teams will get by into the semi-finals, the New York Latios and the Gothenburg Gothitels. The other 4 teams will battle for their spots. The Woobats have, unfortunately, had a drop. So, the Blazing Brelooms will be taking on the New York Latias in the semi-finals of side 1. But Riverside Otters will be facing down the Durham Dragalges for the right to battle the Gothitels on side 2. Next week, the race for the gold really begins. See you then.